Imagine a team that seemed almost invincible, a juggernaut that swept aside every opponent, broke records, and dominated European football for nearly a decade. A team so good that even when rivals like Liverpool or Arsenal threatened to steal the show, they always managed to bounce back with astonishing runs of form. But now, the unthinkable has happened. Manchester City, the reigning Premier League champions and last season's treble winners, are unravelling before our eyes. A team that has defined consistency and dominance is now in freefall. Only one win in their last 13 games. Their title hopes are gone. The top four is in serious doubt. And even their Champions League campaign hangs by a thread. What on earth is happening to Manchester City? To understand how shocking City's current slump is, we need to look at their meteoric rise under Pep Guardiola. Since his arrival in 2016, City have been nothing short of phenomenal. They've won 6 Premier League titles in 7 years, including a domestic treble in the 2018-19 season. That was the year City edged Liverpool in an unforgettable title race, finishing with 98 points to Liverpool's 97. In 2021-22, City did it again, narrowly beating Liverpool with 93 points to 92. And last season, they made history by becoming the first English club to win 4 Premier League titles in a row. But it wasn't just about trophies, it was about how they won them. City didn't just win. They crushed opponents with surgical precision, often going on unbeaten runs of 10 or more games when the pressure was at its highest. City's dominance wasn't limited to domestic competitions either. They finally captured their elusive Champions League trophy last season, completing the treble and cementing their status as one of the greatest teams in football history. And yet, all of that feels like a distant memory now. Where did it all go wrong? City started the season in typical fashion, winning their opening Premier League games and looking like the well-oiled machine we've come to expect. But everything began to unravel during a seemingly routine game against Arsenal. The match ended in a 2-2 draw, and while it didn't seem like a disaster at the time, it marked the beginning of a downward spiral. City's talisman, Rodri, fresh off winning the Ballon d'Or, suffered a season-ending injury. Suddenly, City's midfield, the engine of their success, looked vulnerable. Without Rodri, City struggled to control games, and their results reflected it. Then came the Carabao Cup match against Tottenham, a game that exposed their growing vulnerabilities. Key players like Ruben Dias, John Stones, and Manuel Akanji all picked up injuries, leaving City's defense in tatters. City lost 2-1, but the real damage wasn't on the scoreboard. It was to their squad depth and confidence. What followed was a series of results that no one saw coming. City lost to Bournemouth in the Premier League, a team they would typically dispatch with ease. They were then humiliated by Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League, losing 4-1. Their defensive woes were laid bare against Brighton, where they suffered their 4th consecutive defeat, a first in Pep Guardiola's managerial career. The losses kept piling up. Another heavy defeat to Tottenham, a stunning collapse against Feyenoord in the Champions League, where they blew a 3-0 lead, and a heartbreaking loss to Liverpool at home, which effectively ended their title hopes. By the time they faced Nottingham Forest, City had gone 7 games without a win, a stretch that saw them concede 14 goals in just 5 matches. They finally managed to scrape a win, but it was little solace. Their struggles continued with losses to Juventus, Manchester United, and Aston Villa, and a draw against Everton left fans wondering just how far this team could fall. The key issues behind the downfall: 1. Injuries galore. City's collapse has been heavily influenced by injuries. Losing Rodri was the first domino to fall, but the defensive injuries to Ruben Dias, John Stones, and Manuel Akanji have crippled their ability to maintain their usual solidity at the back. The squad depth that was once City's greatest strength has been tested to its limits, and the results have been catastrophic. 2. over-reliance on Erling Haaland. While City's attack is still formidable on paper, there's a growing sense that they've become too reliant on Erling Haaland to deliver the goals. When he's off form or heavily marked, the team struggles to create chances, as evidenced by their lackluster performances against Bournemouth and Juventus. 3. Tactical stubbornness. Pep Guardiola is a genius, but even geniuses make mistakes. His insistence on certain tactical setups, even when the squad is depleted or out of form, has raised eyebrows. Starting inexperienced players in crucial games, like against Tottenham, has only added to the team's woes. 4. A psychological hangover. Winning 6 titles in 7 years creates massive expectations. The pressure to maintain those standards is immense, and it seems to be weighing heavily on both the players and Pep himself. Pep's visible frustration on the sidelines, even injuring himself while scratching his head during a game, speaks volumes about the mental toll this slump has taken. So, is this the end of Manchester City's dominance? It's too early to say for sure. Football is unpredictable, and if there's one thing we've learned about Pep Guardiola and his teams, it's that they're capable of bouncing back when you least expect it. City's struggles this season are a stark reminder that even the best teams are not invincible. Injuries, form, and the psychological burden of sustained success can bring even the greatest teams to their knees. But one thing is certain, this season will test the resilience of Manchester City like never before. Whether they rise from the ashes or continue to crumble remains to be seen. For now, all we can do is watch and wonder, what on earth is happening to Manchester City? Do you think this is just a blip for Pep and City? Or are we witnessing the end of an era? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in football.